Is to get to this part of the program. We've already honored two incredible folks. Same with this next Money Boot recipient. The challenge is for me to try to hold the suspense and not reveal too soon who this is. I'm not sure I'll succeed at that, but we'll see. The next recipient is an exceptional leader, an exceptional business person, just an exceptional person, period. Our recipient holds 2 degrees from the University of Tennessee, both a bachelor's and an MBA. The recipient also has earned their CPA and started as an internal auditor with the State of Tennessee Comptroller's Office. Now that led to an opportunity to serve as an internal auditor at the UT System Office. Then, after a few years, came the move to Boeing. First as an accountant, then as a price analysis manager, then as a finance manager, a business manager, you see how we're climbing up, then as director of site operations in Oak Ridge, where a recipient led the organization in the best 2-year period in that facility's history. And finally then moving into the position of being Boeing's commercial airplanes program manager. Now, it was during that time that one colleague wrote about this person that they laid the groundwork for the transition from Boeing to the American Centrifuge Project, which kept literally hundreds of jobs based in East Tennessee. Now, let me pause there for just a moment and let you know that this person also has given of themselves to serve in a variety of ways to the community. Serving on the Oak Ridge Chamber Board, including serving as Ernest Chair. Serving on the IACME Collaborative Composite Solutions Corporation, the Audit and Finance Committee. Serving as a board member on the Tennessee Chamber of Commerce. Serving on the Methodist Medical Center Advisory Board, the ETech Board of Directors. Habitat for Humanity, working to advance the Methodist Medical Center hospitality houses, and importantly to us, serving on the Roane State Community College Foundation Board of Directors and our audit chair, where this person promotes many of our programs, including our nuclear tech program. This person has also been very deservedly recognized over the years as the Greater Knoxville Business Journal CFO of the Year, and as the Oak Ridge Chamber's Eugene Joyce Lifetime Achievement Award. And oh, by the way, in the midst of all this, in this person's spare time, served 15 years as a TSSAA high school basketball and football official. That I did not know initially. So now for the rest of the story, which I'm sure will clue you in. Then in 2007 came the move to Oak Ridge Associated University, where our recipient serves as the Chief Financial and Business Operations Officer, which is unique in that ORAU is both a nonprofit organization and a federal government contractor, bringing its own unique opportunities and challenges. He has the physical responsibility for the organization, as well as facilities, communication, information systems, security, infrastructure, and so much more. He also serves as the treasurer of the Oak Ridge Associated University Foundation. And he's managed the financial aspects of the organization's dramatic revenue growth from $230 million in 2007 when he joined to more than $380 million in 2022. That's a growth of approximately 65% in the midst of not only what we've been through in the last few years, but remember that little recession that hit a few years before that. And so the revenue projections for 2023 are more than $400 million. The organization has grown from 850 employees to more than 1,000, a majority of whom, by the way, reside in Knox and Anderson counties. And of course, time does not permit me to list all of the critical areas that he has positively impacted, but let me just mention a few. In addition to the revenue growth and the workforce increases, internal controls, zero to minimal audit findings over, this organization has 6 to 9 audits per year, and they've achieved the status as a low-risk auditee. He's led policy and process improvements and cost savings, including reduced overhead, millions of infrastructure investments, and diversification of the business lines. These were collaborative efforts with ORAU's 150 plus university members. In addition, his hand in the corporate giving needs to be mentioned. To community education institutions, the giving is at least $1.5 million a year to things like ORAU's Extreme Class Makeover, which all of us are familiar with, Dolly Parton's Imagination Library, the United Way, expansion of the East Tennessee Children's Hospital, and I must mention again, he stepped forward and they were the lead gift timing-wise to set the trend for us with the Regional Health Science Facility that we're building with our partners at TCAP Knoxville. We're very grateful for that, obviously. I admire this man for many reasons, but if I had to boil things down if I had to boil it down to two things that I appreciate most, and that's really difficult, this person's integrity and his compassion. He insists that things be done the right way, the ethical way, even if that requires hard changes. And he is not intimidated by tough assignments. But here's what's really remarkable. He also gets to know his colleagues. He gets to know their hopes and their struggles, and he listens and he genuinely cares, and he supports those around him. In fact, one colleague wrote, "I am consistently impressed with his dedication to excellence, service above self, his commitment to his team's success, and his love for his family." Speaking of his family, he and his wife Patty reside in Knoxville, and they have two grown sons, Bradley and Benjamin. I want to end with a quote from his colleague and dear friend, and the one who joined me in nominating him. This quote is from Andy Page. Speaking of our recipient, he said, "He is a role model of the highest character and integrity, and he is someone you truly would be glad to know and call a coworker and friend." Folks, I think that says everything about our recipient. Please join me in congratulating my dear friend, Phil Andrews. The other trick was getting him here. I invited him to sit at my table, and he said, "No, I just can't come, Chris." So we conspired with his assistant, who cleared his calendar of everything. So sometimes you have to go to the very top.
How are you?
Wow. Much like everybody else, probably who's stood up here, I did a little math, and I think I've probably been to 30 of these over my life or more. And you don't really have anything to say, but sort of like Senator Alexander said about Senator Dirksen, I rarely have the luxury of an unspoken thought, and many times I have stories that or analogies that help me through. And interestingly enough, I was thinking of situations just as I was driving here today with my oldest son about 20 years ago, and he was a fifth grader at Carnes Elementary, and they have a field day every year, and he was arguably the best athlete in the school. And so they have about 10 events, and they get the 10 people that they think will represent the school best. And this particular teacher decided she would put their names in a hat and draw them out randomly for which event they got to participate in. And there's the 100-yard dash and relays and all this stuff. Well, came home from work, and my son's in the kitchen and just kind of upset. And I said, "What's wrong, Brad?" And he said, "Dad, do you have any idea I'm gonna be doing it to field day. I said, no, honey, we'll do the sack race. And he said, really? I'm doing the sack race. He said, he was just completely frustrated about having gotten the sack race. Well, y'all can imagine, I went into my dad mode immediately, and I said, let me tell you something, pal. This ain't all about you. I said, you're part of a team. You're part of 10 people that are representing Carnes, and I went down that whole thing there, and I said, what you need to do is be the best sack racer you can be. Well, all right, now fast forward about 3 weeks, and I was up for a job to manage 2 or 3 Boeing facilities, and against another guy who managed a facility in Arkansas, and they didn't pick me. And I came home, and you got to remember, my boys are like 11 and 8. And they're sitting at the island doing homework or eating a snack, and I rarely ever say a word about work, but this particular day I was beside myself, and I broke my own rule, and I came home and I just started railing about the fact that I didn't get that job, and I was the best one for the job, and and I went on, and thinking the boys had absolutely no concept of what I was saying or were even listening. And I finished and took a breath, and Brad looked up at me and said, sounds like you need to be the best sack racer you can be, Dad. And I went, wow, okay. So, hopefully, for the 40 plus years that I've had the luxury to expend my career here in Oak Ridge and East Tennessee for 3 outstanding institutions / companies, University of Tennessee and Boeing and ORAU. Hopefully, I've made some small contribution as a sack racer, trying to live to that standard that I got taught by my 11-year-old son. So maybe some of you with kids can appreciate that. I sincerely appreciate E-Tech. Tracy, your leadership. At the time I was at Boeing, I could not tell you how many times E-Tech came to our aid, financially, operationally, new opportunities to grow jobs, save jobs, and under your leadership, the same thing, Tracy. It's just been an outstanding partnership, and E-Tech's pretty good at giving out Nutty Boots. You ought to give yourself one. I mean, E-Tech ought to give E-Tech a Nutty Boot award, because it's been a godsend and a true blessing to get to live a career out in East Tennessee and Oak Ridge. And thank you for the acknowledgement. Thank you.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Joe Hankins. I'm the incoming 2024 E-Tech Sheriff, and it's my pleasure and maybe a little bit of disappointment after spending a year listening to Harry. It's always been an absolute pleasure for me. So,